Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. Today I wanted to have a quick look at the AT021. I haven't picked it up, which, like me, don't have anything really. But I did want to have a quick look at it because we didn't have a proper look at it when I did the read-through of what was happening with the Earth Day event where they announced this ship coming into the game. So yeah, we'll just jump straight in. Obviously I don't have it, so I can't show off what some modules are applicable to the weapons and the other systems, but we can have a bit more of a look through and see what it's all about. So first off, as you can see in the top right, it is a medium-sized fighter, which is a bit unfortunate. I was kind of hoping for another large. But, medium's not bad. That means you get 3 of them. So, yeah, it's not too bad. Bear in mind that these stats are noted, so it's, including all 3 nowadays, I think. So it's not too bad to look at the firepower stats and that kind of thing. So there are 3 versions. You have the pulse cannon, which we're looking at the moment. We have the interference type, which is the E-War version. And you have the multi-role, which I believe is, just more missiles, which, everyone likes missiles, right? So the pulse cannon is actually not too bad on this. We've got a 218 damage pulse cannon. It's got a pretty decent, duration and attacks per round. Cooldown's not too bad. The lock-on is, meh. Actually, no, the duration's really bad. 35 seconds. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. So it's more or less kind of like a Strix. Nothing really stands out here. HP looks fine. Speed and warp speeds are all fine. What else we got on here? We've got delayed attack after the battle begins. Extend the lock-on time of the first 2 rounds of attack by 40% and increase the hit rate of the main weapon by 40% as the strategy on this. Extend the lock-on time of the first 2 rounds of attack. Is that for anything locking onto this or in general? If that is lock-on time and that affects the entire fleet or the enemy fleet, that could actually be pretty nasty. The increased hit rate is going to be really good here, but if we have a look, I believe this thing's small ship, so yeah, it's going to go destroy a frigate. It's not going to target other sort of aircraft and stuff, so it's not going to be as good as the Strix in my opinion because of that. However, I can't see the enhanced systems, and there could very well be in there something like prioritized fighters and interceptors like the Strix doesn't have, because the Strix has prioritized frigates and destroyers. But maybe it does have the interceptor fighter one, and it would make it slightly better, because currently we don't have much or if any need at all for an anti-small aircraft. We are still looking for anti-air aircraft for the most part, and to an extent anti-large. So yeah, not too bad. We've got an energy compression device here. I'm guessing this will work the same as other versions of this, which are on multiple different ships. You'll get 1 damage increase and a big cooldown increase on this system. Could be worth checking out those and upgrading those prior to touching the pulse cannon system, because they're normally a little bit lower on the attack points. Armor system, yeah, nothing specifically useful here. It's got HP, it's got 2 armor, which is kind of a bit of an odd number. And we can't see, obviously, what's on the aircraft. It has no innate dodge on it, which is a bit unfortunate. So it's probably not going to be anything that you'd run in the front line. Maybe a little bit back and wait for your other ships to get ahead and screen for it. So yeah, not a bad ship. I really like the design of this. I like the asymmetry of it, especially because it's not overly asymmetrical. It's just a little bit, and that kind of makes sense when the weapon system's mounted on one side and not the other. The interference type, unfortunately, I can only see this within the blueprint version, but yeah. It has 2 rapid-fire cannons, which is quite interesting. Again, this is anti-small, but it has got air defense here with anti-aircraft counterattack. So it has the potential to shoot down enemy aircraft. There is also enhanced systems here, and due to the fact that this also is anti-aircraft, there is a better chance that this might have the interceptors and fighters here. So we might get lucky on this one. Again, I don't know anyone. I know a couple of people that picked up the Pulse, the base variant. Haven't found anyone that's picked up any of the other 2 variants yet. Again, we've only had 10 boxes to have a go at getting them, so the chances are no one's got but like 2 of them, and most people won't have even had 1 of them. I certainly didn't anyway. The electronic jamming system is what we're here to look at, though. This is the most different thing that we've come across so far. We have an airborne weapon jamming system capable of transmitting electronic interference to enemy ship weapons for 30 seconds, prioritizing targets on the mid-row, reducing the hit rate of all the weapons by 2%. Squadron effect is 12%. That's times 2 because it's 2% each, so it's 4%, and there's 3 of them. 3 times 4 is 12. So there you go. That's how that's calculated. It can also release an interference signal to reduce the chance of getting hit by 30%. So this is coming with a innate 30% dodge rate. It's coming with a 12% reduced hit rate on enemy, which is different to all the jamming we've had before because they just reduce the dodge chance on enemies. This is like an actual jamming system. Like, I don't class what's on the Balance Anderson as jamming. That isn't jamming, is it? You don't jam up something's ability to dodge. You jam something's ability to target or to, well, in this case, it's hit rate. That's targeting. So, you know, that actually makes sense for once. And again, we have the standard systems here, I believe. It has 10% evasion. This thing comes with a flat 40% dodge rate. I think that brings it to Balancer Anderson levels, above Balancer Anderson levels already. Because no doubt on the on this propulsion system, we've got 4 slots. 2 of them are going to probably be evasion. Like, was that? Is it normally 7% or 15%? No, it's normally 15% each, right? Or is it 7% for both? 7% each, and then it's 14% for both. I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, that's going to bring you either up to like a nice 54, 55% dodge rate, or potentially a bit higher. Again, electronic jamming system, we have a lot of slots to play around with here, so there's good potential there. The strategy on here is interferes again and increases the inbound time by 35% when failing to interfere. I have no idea what that means because it's not English. Interferes again and increases the inbound time by 35% when failing to interfere. I'm guessing if it fails to pull off its jamming, then it goes again. It extends the window to try and jam that same ship again. I'm guessing that's what that means, but I am 100% not certain on that whatsoever. It's not particularly well worded. But that's my guess at what they're trying to say, which is interesting because if that means that when these jam, then they move on to a next target to jam, that's actually really good. Just spreading a 12% debuff, and that's just, you know, this squadron. How many of these? We can build 15 of them. 15 times 12. You can bring the hit rate down on an enemy ship to a point where it just can't hit anything. A spear can dodge shots because it's got minus 12% hit rate times 15. So these are definitely a possibility to be running in Fleet. Again, like I've mentioned before, a bit like you run the Balancer as a screen, this does definitely fill that screen role. It has the dodge rate, and its jamming's actually better. So this might just be a flat-out replacement for the Balancer Anderson or the SC002 as your screen. Yeah, it's got no damage. Well, it doesn't look like it's got damage anyway. 143 for the squadron's pretty bad. But at the same time, you know, that jamming debuff's actually quite nice and actually useful. Like if this gets into mid-drone, say they've got like Eternal Storms in there or something of that kind of nature, and you just start hitting the dodge rate down, you're just going to hit their ability to damage you quite high. Again, we're going to have to see. These might get absolutely blasted out of the air within about 5 seconds still. It has got dodge rate. It's got a decent HP buffer here. We've lost the armor from the base variant. Actually, we've even lost slots here as well, so that's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's only got 2 slots. So it might be really, really good. Again, I guess the problem, like I've mentioned before, with jamming ships is you can't guarantee that what you're shooting is being jammed, and that's why the dodge rate's not bad. Is pretty bad. Well, reducing dodge rate's pretty bad because you can't guarantee you're shooting that with the other ships when they're, debuffed. But at the same time, this one's affecting their ships hitting you, so it has a bit more sort of usability, as it were. So yeah, looking forward to actually getting one of these and testing this out. This actually looks like it might be worth running, and it might fit into your swarm fleet quite nicely. Or you may even try and force it into a swarm fleet just for that debuff. Even if you build 10 of these, it's 120% hit rate debuff on one shot. If they all target one ship, we don't know how they will act. They might spread around and debuff everything within the mid row, but we're not certain. And again, there are nasty ships in mid row. Ruby Ions run mid row. Reliant Energy Torp runs mid row. Big damage dealers or potential damage dealers. So yeah, jamming the mid row, not bad, and it is just a priority. It might hit front row and it might hit back row after mid row's dealt with. So, last but not least, we have the multi-roll. I believe this is just, it gets more damage. We got a 40 damage per hit missile. It's prioritizing large, launcher nests. Oh, they are clusters, cluster munitions. This might be okay. What's its attack system? Command and then weapon system. Command systems I'm not the biggest fan of attacking. Most of you know why, and it's because knocking out the command system doesn't do all that much on most ships because you don't really worry too much about the strategies for the most part because the strategies aren't particularly good, so no one picks them up, so the command system doesn't do anything when you knock it out. However, hitting weapon systems, primary weapon systems, it's as good as it ever has been. It may even be potentially better now with the damage of systems dealing 5% HP loss. So there is an argument now for running these, anti-system sort of fighters and stuff. But at the same time, is this better than the Newland at the end of the day? Because that's kind of what it's competing with, and to an extent, things like that. We won't talk about the Jam. I was going to mention the Damphyre, wasn't I? No, the Damphyre doesn't exist. It's fine. So, strategy-wise on this one, attacks every 2 rounds with the main weapon now attacking 2 targets, increases weapon damage by 75% and reduces hit rate against the target's loading system by 10%. Reduces hit rate against the target's loading system. Not entirely sure. Oh, there's a guiding system. Is it talking about this? Oh wait, no, so we got the precision strike system. Hang on, we got another weapon system here? Is that what's going on? We do! We have a giant 350 dam. This is actually pretty decent. That's a lot of damage. 350 damage per hit is actually really good. Okay, it's not attacking much. 1 attack per round, giant torp goes off, big cooldown and duration. Mounted 300mm missiles, boasts a long attack cycle, able to damage medium and large ships at close range. Yeah, this actually might be very viable in the damage roll section. Especially if it's able to, the idea of split fire, and it's the same, if you've played Warhammer, right, and you split fire, you normally never kill the 2 things that you just decided to shoot at or more, and it ruins it because then both of those can fire back at you. The same problem, I think, probably lies within this attacks every 2 rounds with the main weapon attacking 2 targets. The airborne guiding system is not the main weapon, which is kind of odd. Oh, so this only affects the precision system? 40 damage per hit. You're normally looking at like 2,000, 3,000 HP. On these systems, on cruisers and that sort of size. Maybe buffing these up with that strategy is enough to knock out maybe 2 weapon systems on each attack run or something like that. There is potential here. I would personally just be running it because it has this giant missile. Yeah, It's ×2 as well, so you're firing 2 of these giant missiles, so 750 damage. And that's why the anti-ship fire rate per min's kind of low, because you've got this 35-second duration. Anything that can reduce duration on this thing is going to help a lot. But this thing can hit like a bloody truck, so definitely worth checking out the multi-role type at some point if you ever get lucky enough to grab these. So the pulse cannon, kind of like a Strix, but not as good. I think the Strix is just going to be better than it. Interference type, Balancer and SC02002 have competition, and they both lose to it, is my guess there. And this multi-role type is now an auto-include, just because of its damage output. 350 damage output, I think, believes it pretty much on point with a cellular defender. So have a quick look. And this is a Corvette, bear this in mind. Cellular defender, what is the standard torp damage on you? 350, there you go, bang on. So yeah, this does 350 damage per hit. We've obviously got, you know, better duration, cooldowns, and lock on time, but the other one's firing 3, so it's got a bigger alpha potential. Wait, no, it's firing 6, right? There's 2 weapons on each, there's 3 aircraft within the squadron. Yeah, you're doing 6 times 350 in a big bang. So yeah, actually, that is going to be a really nice ship. So definitely, definitely have a look at that. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? Oh, we can look at them. There you go. So there's showing off the one with the giant missiles. If we switch variant model and have a look at the... I really like the look of this one, because I know the cannon looks kind of ridiculous and overextended, but it just looks good. I think it looks good with the giant overextended cannons. Who doesn't look like giant cannons on ships? Like, it's half the size of the ship almost. It's great. So, just a quick look at the AT021, because we didn't have a proper look previously. Watch out for these. I think the jamming type and the missile are going to be really good and definitely worth running. The energy, I'm not so certain on. I know people are saying it's pretty decent, but I'm going to go and say it's probably just as decent as the Strix, except it can't target air. So the Strix is probably overall a little bit better in that position. Yes, it hits harder than the Strix, but at the same time, the Strix anti-air, and we need all the anti-air we can still get. Swarm is still meta, and that's how the game plays at the moment. So, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.